Good morning, everyone. Oh, not morning where you're at? That's okay, because you can have eggs for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Welcome to Three Eggs Are Better Than One, episode 11. I am joined by fellow eggs, Matt M. and Brian Heremza. We would like to thank all of you for the positive feedback from last week. We had quite a rivalry between us. Anyway, we appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate all the comments. We appreciate all the likes. But let's kick it into the good news of the week with Brian. So, Brian, what is your sunny side up?
Well, my sunny side up this week, as you've obviously heard from me before, I'm a wrestling fan, but it goes beyond pro wrestling. I'm an amateur wrestling fan as well. I've been involved in wrestling, coaching wrestling, refereeing wrestling now. And my sunny side up is that I get to go and watch my fellow state, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They're having a big duel with Penn State on Friday night, as we're recording tomorrow night. And I'll be driving out to cheer on my Cornhuskers as they hopefully pull off the upset against Penn State. And going out and then going to be reffing some tournaments this weekend as well, just to kind of keep the flame and passion for wrestling going. So, Brad?
When are you leaving?
Yeah, I have multiple questions.
I'm leaving tomorrow afternoon,
And when are you going to be back?
Saturday,
Okay.
Saturday night.
Just making sure that we're going to stay on schedule. That's all.
Yeah, no, we'll still
is
go.
it? How far is the drive?
It's 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
no,
you said
I'll be getting stuff together while I'm in the hotel room.
Yeah.
Don't worry, everybody.
you said you were reffing.
Yeah, I'll be reffing a tournament as well.
What
on
is your
Saturday.
referee attire?
Just the normal black and white
Well,
stripes.
I don't know the normal.
Yeah, it's just black and white stripes like you'd see at any referee. And the only fun part is I had to go out and buy like
Zebra stripes. Okay.
the regular pant. Like
Very. I hear it's very
pants.
slimming.
I wish it was. Yes, I wish it was.
Well, my sunny side up this week's going to include my daughter Lotus. She decided she was accepted into doing a study abroad. She's going to Argentina after the spring semester to have a placement at there's the public hospitals and the private hospitals there. So I'm just very excited for her to go out there and just experience something completely different than something I've never been able to experience at all. So I'm just happy that she's able to do something like that. I'm proud of her.
Yeah. I don't know if I could point to Argentina on a map.
Well, don't cry for me.
Oh boy. Let's edit that out. Timestamp 3 minutes 14 seconds. All right. I guess it's my turn for Matt doesn't know how to do sunny side up. And I don't really have anything. I've kind of converted this on my own into maybe a little bit of follow up from last week or a little touch of current events because we don't really do that, but a little touch of it. First, I have to give you my weekly Paperboy update. Would anyone like to guess what happened with today's newspaper delivery?
I think he skipped you altogether.
I think he put it on the trunk of your car.
Brad, you are correct. No paper. I have lived in this house for 10 years, and I have received a paper every single Thursday except for today. So
He knows something. He's a listener. I'm telling you.
He's listening.
he knows something. Also, I'd like to acknowledge we had some unfortunate losses today in the pop culture world. Bob Uecker, of course, famous for a bunch of different things. He was a baseball player himself, probably more famous for being a baseball commentator for the Brewers for over 50 years. He played that role in the Major League movies, which I think maybe he's most well known for. And he did appear with WWE back in the day a little bit. In the 80s, it was probably the 80s.
Loved him in Mr. Belvedere as well.
I think he was one of those guys that's just like kind of everybody likes him, like a Snoop, everybody likes that guy. And then also director David Lynch, who I was a big fan of. Successful guy, maybe not big box office success, or maybe not the most well known for celebrity or anything, but a lot of important and I think influential films and series in his career, including Twin Peaks, which was a very big deal for a while. Also, films like Mulholland Drive and Lost Highway, which were kind of like, batshit crazy sort of movies. But I really enjoy weird kind of movies like that. So sad to hear that today. And finally, Brad, I know your college football team will be playing in the championship. Um, as this drops, it'll be tonight, right?
Yeah.
Um, it made me think of something that happened to me when I was in eighth grade. Not happened to me, something I experienced in eighth grade. So I had like a history or a social studies class in middle school. Did you guys ever do like we would do like 4 days a week was like the history studies, and then 1 day a week we would talk about current events. And the way we did that was everybody brought in a newspaper article, which of course is funny because newspaper is not really a thing anymore, except for the one that gets delivered to my house usually. But I remember cutting out an article and bringing it in, and I looked it up, and I was able to find this article.
No way.
It is from October 25th, 1995. Fighting Irish tattoo prompts lawsuit. An avid Notre Dame University fan is suing a New Jersey tattoo parlor for misspelling Fighting Irish, the team slogan he had tattooed on his arm. Uh, Lodi, New Jersey, 22-year-old man. It was Fying Irish. The T was missing. The T was missing. I remember there was an image in the article at the time because, of course, I remember seeing it. You know, it was the leprechaun guy in the fighting stance, right? Is that their mascot? Um, and with all this Fighting Irish talk, it made me think of that. So I looked it up, and it, so there was no image online. I couldn't find the image of it, but it seemed like the article caught traction because, there were several different newspaper archives that had it. But what's interesting, it was actually very, very, very local to me where I was living at the time in New Jersey. So I thought that was interesting. And those were my sunny sides up, or sunny side ups, sunny sides up.
Very good. Very good. I don't have a hard boiled. Just gonna mention something that it's an uncomfortable topic for me though. My wife and I were in the parking lot of Walmart last Sunday or Saturday. I don't know, one of those 2 days. And you have a homeless that have picked, a homeless person came up to us, didn't speak English, older woman that had she had a note in her hand and she was trying to hand it to us. And my wife pushes me forward and says, "It's a trick. It's a trick. It's a trap. It's a trap." She really believes that there's somebody behind her, and this is the setup to us getting robbed or whatever. Um, it is a strange way to go about it because she's not speaking any English, and this isn't really an area that people don't speak English in normally. But what do you guys think of that? I've left dollars or couple dollars, put it out my window for people and put it down there. And when you go to New York, I mean, gosh, when you go to Philadelphia, gosh, it's everywhere. But this is a very suburban area. Do you think that is a trap?
I don't think the one you described is. I think that such a trap exists, you know? I feel like it gets depicted in TV and movies as the like, I need help on the side of the road. There's a young lady who needs help on the side of the road, and then you pull over, and then a guy pops out with a weapon, and they've fooled you. But that's Hollywood.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. And I felt guilty about it. I felt guilty about it like the whole way home.
Yeah.
Brian, what do you think?
I mean, it's weird to say though, like with a lot of the homeless people around here, like a lot of them, they don't even really interact. It's just they stand in the corner, they have their sign and like they won't even talk back. Like I'm kind of the same way. I've given dollars before, but like you never hear from them. It's just here's the sign and then go back a few hours later, they're gone. So like I could see where you're coming from with that. It makes sense, but I don't know. It's kind of an odd, it's a weird situation.
I definitely prefer that just quietly standing there type person,
Mm.
but again, first world problems to me. Like here I am, not saying I'm rich or anything. I'm not, but I'm not in that situation. And you do have to be careful, but I don't know. I don't know when. I don't know when you're supposed to be. And it's just, she really truly believes it. She did. She believes it. She wasn't about just giving somebody $5 or something like that. It was she really believed that it was a setup. So I just wanted to know what you guys thought of that. If nothing really hard boiled this week, nothing really happened that made me angry, but it was just something that was bothersome to me.
So if you had properly consulted the egg topic chart without having a hard boiled, you would realize that you could have titled this No Yolk, because this is a serious topic we're talking about here. And we have yet to actually have a no yolk on the show. So
Well,
that's
let it be said.
our first
Let it be
no.
written.
I'm retroactively retitling this on the outline as no
There
yolk.
it is.
So instead of hard boiled this week, we're gonna go with no yolk.
There it is. Yes.
I don't know. Okay. So next topic is brown eggs. Brown eggs are less talked about moments, and I'm what better person to talk about that than our friend Bryant. So Bryant, what's a less talked about moment?
So for me, I think you all have an idea where I'm going with this. As you know, as I'm a wrestling fan and
No.
less talked about moments, but I decided I'm going to go a completely different direction and throw a hard curveball. I'd like to talk about something from Brad's youth. Of course, we're going back to 1939.
The Wizard of Oz?
No, you wish, right?
I think that's been talked about.
So the date is November 11th, 1939. And the Texas Tech Red Raiders are playing the Centurion Gentlemen. Yes, that is their name. And they're playing this football game in Shreveport, Louisiana. On this particular day, though, it is a very rainy, muddy day. On this day, they received 2.23 inches of rain pre-game. Now I know what you're saying. The field conditions have to be terrible.
A lot of rain.
A lot of rain.
There's a lot of
A lot of mud. To give you an example, on the opening kickoff, Centenary only returned the ball 13 yards. And on the first play from scrimmage, punted the football. Punting it to Texas Tech, who runs 2 plays for 3 yards. And on third down, you guessed it, punted the ball back. The idea was simple. Offense is ineffective and at best dangerous for them. So what do? They opt for special teams, hoping that a returner muffs the ball.
Just a punt off?
Muffs the exactly. You muff a punt, you fumble, something happens. Now I know what you're saying. Well, Brian, why bring this up? Well, it's because in this game there were 77 punts. 67 of which were on first down, by the way.
Come on.
During one stretch in the second half, there were 22 punts in a row.
This is insane.
Of the 77 punts, 42 were returned, 19 went out of bounds, 10 were down, 1 was a touchback, 4 were blocked.
I'm surprised. Only 4 were blocked.
4 block punts.
Of the 14 that were of the ones returned, 14 were fumbled. Naturally, 6 of those were lost. Now, in the game's waning moments, Centenary went for a ended the game with only 30 yards of total offense. Texas Tech had a chance to kick a game-winning field goal from the 18-yard line. The kick traveled 12 yards. Now I know what you're saying. Right, why bring this up? What is the point of this?
It's awesome.
This is great. I bring this up because not only did it have 77 punts, 13 NCAA records were set in this game. By the way, all 13 still stand to this very day, including most punts by the Texas Tech kicker, 36. Most punting yards, again, Charlie Calhoun of Texas Tech, 1,318 total yards punted. Most returned punts by Milton Hill with 20. He also had the most combined punt and kickoff returns for the game with his 20. Then the one that made me laugh the most, fewest plays by both teams. They both combined for 33 offensive plays. Fewest yards gained. They only gained 30 total yards. And then fewest rushes of 28. As I fell down the rabbit hole and found this game, it just absolutely captivated me with the amount of absurdity. And again, I want to reiterate, 77 punts.
How did you even find that?
So I fell down a rabbit hole as we do here.
As we
And
do.
they were going through just odd games. And I had found one game that I was wanting to cover for the show here. And then this game just popped up as the craziest. And it's even, I found the subject being the craziest game in NCAA history. So naturally, I find the newspaper clippings, much like Matt did in the first segment there, but found the newspaper clippings commenting on the game. And to know that these records still stand after 1939, and obviously the one for punting yards will never be broken. I will say that now.
No.
It's absolutely fascinating, and just something that a game like this that holds so many records never talked about. You would never know it as a college football fan until now.
What did you say passing? Were there any passes thrown?
No, none. Zero passing yards.
Zero pass.
The 30 yards were all rushing.
Yeah. I mean,
And what was the final score again?
It was 0-0.
wow.
Yep, the final score was 0-0. They finished in a tie.
What was the point? What was the point?
After you get to halftime, you would have figured you're just done. Like I said, the second half, the second half started with 22 straight punts. Just call the game at that point.
Crazy.
And yeah, like I said, it's to know that, again, Texas Tech lined up from the 18-yard line to kick the winning field goal, and it went 12 yards and the ball died at the 6. Tells you everything about the fun of college football. So
very, very, very brown egg.
Yeah. So, and that is my lesser known moment. So, Brad, back to you.
That was fantastic, Bryant. Absolutely fantastic. So what brings us to poached eggs, which is stuff we own, collector's items. So this is always Matt's favorite topic, and I always like to make sure I do it once every few weeks. So Matt, what do you got for us this week?
I scrounged up a couple of things. And they're usually sports related. Again, I don't really collect anything, but I have some random things. So I have this, and unfortunately it is damaged, which is why I'm going to do two things. And I'll do this quickly. Obviously you need a visual here. It is a piece of the Madison Square Garden basketball court from 1996. I guess they redid it. And my dad knew somebody who they cut it up into little rectangles like this. And I think my dad knew somebody, and he gave us one, and it's kind of cool. I mean, it is Madison Square Garden. Unfortunately, I don't remember how it got damaged. I think it was just tucked away somewhere, and maybe heat. I don't know. It stuck to some things, and it got messed up. It used to be like a complete block. But I thought that was kind of cool. The other thing I dug up.
You know what I thought that was? I thought that was a piece of your Pinewood Derby car.
My what?
Your Pinewood Derby car from the Boy Scout.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I thought it was a Pinewood Derby car.
I don't even know what that is.
So you build your car, you get a block of wood, it's like a kit, and you race your car down a ramp. Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts.
I was not a Boy Scout.
Well, I didn't know that.
Clearly
Now I do. Now I do know. But
yeah.
that's exactly what I thought it was.
All right.
It looked like that without the wheels.
Your main topic one week. We talked about the Girl Scout cookies. What do the Boy Scouts sell?
Popcorn.
Cars. They build cars and
sell popcorn.
Okay. Is that true?
It's true. It's just not as widely known.
Man, it's weird there. All right, my other thing, and again, we don't really rehearse any of this stuff, so we're a little football heavy today. But I have an actual program from an XFL game that I attended. This was the first iteration of the XFL in 2001. It was at Giant Stadium, and it was March 3rd, 2001. The New York, New Jersey Hitmen, that might get your attention, Bryant. The New York, New Jersey Hitmen versus the Los Angeles Extreme. And of course, Extreme was spelled Xtreme. So this is the official program. And I looked up the game, of course. The Extreme crushed the Hitmen 22-7. And if anybody remembers from that one season, there were a couple of bright spots that came out of it, even though the league was unsuccessful, was Tommy Maddox was the Los Angeles Extreme quarterback. They ended up winning that one and only championship that they had then. And Tommy Maddox had previously played for the Giants. And then after this year, he was the quarterback for the Steelers prior to Roethlisberger being on the team. And he actually won NFL Comeback Player of the Year the following year. So the XFL did reignite Tommy Maddox's career. And I guess I was there to see him throw 2 touchdowns against what was my local team at the time. It was March. I remember it was very, very cold. I also remember the upper deck of the football stadium was not open. They could barely sell any tickets for the lower bowl. And that is my poached egg.
Who called that game?
Oh, I don't know.
Was it Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler?
Couldn't tell you. I mean, I don't remember watching the broadcast. Maybe I, VHS taped it back then, but I don't recall.
I was just curious because I know they did a couple of those games.
Yeah, no, I know they did. I have no idea.
Jim Ross was very excited about that stuff.
Yeah. All right, who's next?
I guess I'm next. So, I am doing something different this week. I'm combining both of my topics now, or this topic with my other topic, but we're going to separate them. I mean, I'm combining them, but there's going to be the same thing for both. Okay. So, Brian, I sent you a couple pictures. Now, you don't have to put them up yet. Okay. But what I'm going to do here, we could see this. You know what? Let me
What's the topic, Brad? What's the topic?
Let me blur my background for a minute, okay? This here still stinks. Is Jeff Jarrett, Jeff Jarrett from Heels and Faces. It is a special action figure made a few years back. This is also Jeff Jarrett. Okay? And this was from the Major Wrestling Podcast. Brian Myers and Zack Ryder.
Yeah, Cardona.
Matt Cardona. And here's another one. Another one from the official the official Major Wrestling Podcast. So the reason I'm showing you this is because during 2020 is when the three of us, I think we were part of ad-free shows. Jeff Jarrett is a wrestler for WWE, for AEW. He's been in TNA, one of the originators of TNA. And he had recently joined, I think in 2021, ad-free shows to be do his weekly podcast. So they were announcing this figure was coming out, and I order it. 3 months go by, and I paid $50. 6 months go by, 9 months go by. So on air, we're doing a live with Jeff Jarrett, and Jeff says to me, "All right, how you doing, Brad? How you doing? I'm good. I go, Jeff, any idea when you're when this action figure is gonna how they doing? When are they gonna come in?" And then he stops what he's doing and he makes like a phone call to somebody. He goes, Brad, I will get back to you on that before the show ends. In the meantime, I'm getting a text from Coach Rosie, friend of the show, that says, I can't believe you basically called Jeff Jarrett a deadbeat on this show. I go, I didn't call him a deadbeat. I just wanted to know when the faction figure was coming in. By the end of the show, he gave me an update and it wasn't true at all. Okay. So Brian, if you could put a picture up of Jeff Jarrett. So this is me and Jeff with Road Dogg in the background. This is at Top Guy Weekend 2022. And this was a really special occasion. And I just wanted to show the picture. You could take it down, Brian. But so Jeff did like a Q&A on stage with his father, Jerry Jarrett. I asked a question and then it was just kind of over after that. So then I was like going around back to the bathroom and then I run into him and Karen Jarrett in the hallway of the hotel, which was very strange. And I said, hey, how's it going? And he's like, Brad Stanton. And I'll just never forget that moment. And it was just so exciting. Like Jeff Jarrett, he's been everywhere. He's famous and he knows who I am. And Karen's like, who's this again? I'm like, you don't have to know me. You don't have to know me. I'm good. So basically I walk into their room and say goodnight. Right. And then I use the bathroom and I come back. Well, a half hour later, he hit Corey over the head with a guitar and he was back again. It was just so fun. And I'm so glad that I have these figures of him because they are special and they are collector's items. And I have pictures with him and I love that picture of me, him and Road Dogg in the background. And even to this day, like if I'm on with him and I always introduce myself because I don't like to embarrass people. As a salesperson, I don't like to embarrass people. So I always say, hey, remember, if someone's with their wife and maybe we've only met a couple times, I always say, hi, how you doing? I'm Brad. And the reason I do that is to make sure that other person doesn't feel uncomfortable in case he forgot my name because it's normal, right? And I do the same thing with him and he goes to me, no, Brad, I know who you are. I'm like, all right, Jeff. So that is my brown egg. Or poached egg, one or the other.
Man, you don't know your eggs today, man.
Man, my eggs are off.
I don't know your eggs today.
So
it's okay. You're allowed it every once in a while, Brad.
So what do you got? What do you got, Matt?
No.
Or Bryant.
Or
Right.
Bryant.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, it's that day.
Cut that mic.
So again, I'm gonna go a little off topic, off a little bit here, and we're not gonna do wrestling again. We're gonna talk about one of my favorite movies of all time. My family decided to go in on some gifts for me one year, and I got Blast from the Past, which is the store from Back to the Future 2 that Marty McFly goes to purchase his copy of.
I love this book.
Mine is
Love this
inside
book.
Gray's
Yes.
Sports Almanac.
Love it.
And the part when I got it was, naturally, it has the dust jacket, which, they brag about in the movie,
Yeah.
But the part that surprised me when I got it, and I believe Brad has one as well, I would suggest, I would guess.
Yeah.
Is it actually does have stats. It is an actual legitimate almanac.
Oh.
And I did not see that coming. I thought it would be like some, movie relic of like, oh, here's just some made up things in the middle and yada, yada, yada. No, it's an actual almanac. And it threw me off when I got it. But it's just a little piece of one of my favorite trilogies, my favorite movies, and something that I really, I treasure and I enjoy. And it sits with my Back to the Future collection, which is sitting over there in the corner of my room here. So, and that
Gray
is
Sports Almanac.
every time I say it, I think I say it just like Marty does. Me confronts Biff. It's Gray's Sports Almanac.
So good.
Every
Back
time.
to the Future is probably the least popular of the three, or critic wise. I would say
Right.
critic wise is, but it's so entertaining. It's so damn entertaining because they went on. Maybe it's a little silly, maybe it's a little ridiculous, but it's entertaining as hell because they just took a shot at what they think it's going to be.
Oh, yeah.
And they try to tie it all together, and they do tie it all together. Screw everybody else.
Exactly.
Hoverboard. Come on.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I dreamed of that hoverboard for so long. Like, I was convinced I was going to get one when I was a kid. Like, when we got to 2015, it would be the greatest thing ever. And yeah. And Brad, I'm still waiting on that hover conversion.
But you know what the thing is? I mean, there is no problem that they've developed a flying car. You guys all know that, right? They just don't want anybody crashing in air.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's all just have a bunch of civilians crash up about 20 feet up high.
Well, when you see the scene of when Doc goes back to the future and he weaves in and out of traffic.
What is going on there?
Terrifying. That's terrifying.
Why is it oncoming traffic trying to hit him?
Why was he immediately in the wrong lane? How did he not? Oh, I should have just known it was on this side of the sky that I needed to be in.
It is. That's they said right there when they watched the movie. Whoever was developing the flying car, like, we got a problem. Yeah. We got a problem right now.
We got a problem here. Yep. That's their baseline.
Great one, Bryant. Omelet time, and not a Western. Matt M., what do you got?
All right, main topic today. I wanted to talk about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So, for anyone who hasn't seen the show, I'm a very big fan. I'm going to give you a little bit of a history of it from Wikipedia, and then maybe something interesting that you may or may not know, and maybe we can chat about it a little bit. I think our show is a little bit of a did you know sort of podcast. I don't know if we knew that going in, but that's where we wound up. Okay. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is an American sitcom created by Rob McElhenney. Yes, that is how you say it. And developed with Glenn Howerton for FX. It was later moved to FXX in 2013. It premiered on August 4th, 2005, so that is nearly 20 years ago, and stars Charlie Day as Charlie, Glenn Howerton as Dennis, Rob McElhenney as Mac, and Caitlin Olsen as Sweet D, and of course, Danny DeVito as Frank, who did not join until season 2. The series follows the exploits of a group of narcissistic and sociopathic friends who run the Irish dive bar Paddy's Pub in Philadelphia, but spend most of their time drinking, scheming, arguing amongst themselves, and plotting elaborate cons against others, at times against each other, for personal benefit, financial gain, revenge, or simply due to boredom or inebriation. Some interesting facts about the show. The series has run for more seasons than any other American live-action sitcom, which I think is very impressive, surpassing The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet's 14 seasons. The series was renewed for 18 seasons. Presently, we are awaiting the season 17 premiere, but it's destined to reach at least 18 seasons. This season will feature a crossover with the hit ABC sitcom Abbott Elementary. And actually, just recently, the Abbott Elementary episode has actually already aired, which I watched. It was the only episode of that show I've ever seen. It seemed kind of funny, and it was cool to just see the Always Sunny gang on the show.
Briefly interrupt you for a second there. I
Go
just want to
ahead.
say that because I saw that preview, I kind of want to watch Abbott Elementary now.
Well,
Continue.
isn't that the purpose of the
Yeah,
crossover?
yeah.
There's some overlapping Venn diagrams in the audience, and maybe they got a new viewer, and maybe vice versa. Somebody who likes Abbott will go watch Always Sunny. And of course, we're waiting on Always Sunny season to start, and then their crossover episode will be somewhere in the upcoming season. Always Sunny has received critical acclaim, with many lauding the cast performance and dark humor. It has amassed a large cult following. It has never won an Emmy. To date, 170 episodes have aired. So, while the series has so far spanned 16 seasons and 20 years, there are other sitcoms who have had shorter runs but more episodes. I would say my favorite episode, which is probably a lot of people's favorites, was from season 4, the season 4, episode 13, the finale, The Nightman Cometh. So just talk about my feelings about the show for a little bit. I think the show was in season 2 or 3 by the time I caught wind of it, and I very quickly got my hands on the back episodes somehow and watched the first couple seasons, and I thought it was absolutely hysterical. I thought it was unlike anything that was on TV. It was very dark. It was very funny. Their behavior was all very, very inappropriate. A lot of stuff with like, how are they getting away with this on TV? They added Danny DeVito in season 2, which I think, there's a whole story about that I'm not going to get into, but that was basically forced upon them by FX because there was a bunch of nobodies on a show and they wanted to add some star power. I think that turned out okay in the end. I remember back when me and my wife were first together before we were married. We purposely went back and watched the first couple of seasons on I guess it was on DVD, and just remember thinking how absolutely hysterical it was. Now it's been on the air a long time, so like any show that rises in popularity and probably maybe at times feels like it overstays its welcome, or my thing with shows is you have the creators, they have an idea and they have source material from somewhere else that they're adapting, and once you run out of that source material, maybe the show's not as good as it used to be. But the problem is you're probably at your peak of popularity. So you can't just end the show when it's making the most money. You got to keep it going. So the
Yeah.
show has felt like that at times. And I think that even like, and I've gotten 20 years older in the process. So maybe I've matured a little bit, and my sense of humor has matured a little bit. I know people my age, my friends that used to absolutely love the show, and now I don't even think they watch it. I feel the same way about Family Guy because that's still on the air, but I still watch these shows and I still think they're funny. So before I get to the bit I want to focus on, I'd like to hear about your guys' experiences. I don't even know if you've ever watched it. Brad, we know that you geographically live near Philadelphia. One would think Philadelphians and their neighbors are probably going to watch the show just because of where it's taking place. So let's hear it.
I actually don't think most of it takes place in Philadelphia, though. So that's interesting.
Well, no, you mean like the shooting?
The shooting, yeah.
No, but the setting is Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the show. I have a few favorite episodes. Um, it's actually parts of episodes. I don't even know the names of the episodes.
There's definitely memorable gags and lines and things that they revisit, catchphrases and stuff. So let's hear
So there's one where Frank and Charlie live together,
it. Well,
and
they always
they have to hurry up and eat cat food before they go to bed, or the cats are going to go nuts. This is their way of stopping the cats from meowing. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, what does that even mean? But it was so stupidly hilarious. And it was like, and they had to hurry up. He's like eating the cat food out of the can as fast as he can, and then crawls into bed with Charlie. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah, that's a running thing on the show is that they share this studio, this disgusting studio apartment, and they share a bed. Yeah.
There's another episode and where Dennis and Frank go. They're going to like there's gonna be like an orgy. Okay. And they go together and they get there and like everybody's kind of older and out of shape, but wearing all the gear, like all the kind of like gear that you would wear to an orgy, I guess. However, nobody's orgying anything. There's a big buffet. Everybody's eating food. And like there was no sex to be had here. And Dennis says, I don't want to have sex with any of these people. It's just like, what is, you're going to get a free meal? And it's just so freaking funny. And then finally, Charlie and Sweet D thought they ate human. They ate
Yes.
human flesh, and they didn't. They didn't, but they thought they had to have it, but then they ended up getting tapeworms.
Right.
Something else. It's just such
They had
clever
to
writing. It's
yeah.
so unique. It is just such a unique show. I love the show. It's funny. There's not an episode that goes by that I don't think is funny.
So do you regularly watch them all
Not
still?
anymore. Not
Yeah.
anymore, but I
See?
did.
See, you're a fall off guy. You're a
Yeah,
fall
I'm a
off.
fall off guy. I was 20 years. What am I?
I don't know. It's
I was back then. I was 28 years old. You were like 11, right?
No, come on. How old am I? So I was 22-ish.
Yeah. Just saying, a lot's changed since then. But I've watched a lot of it, and I can pick it up anytime.
Yeah, you can. Brian, have you seen the show?
I have seen the show. I have not seen all of the episodes though. I am so when the show debuted. To date myself, I was in high school, so I thank you, Brad. So I never got into it. I never watched it. It wasn't until I met Sue, who was a fan, that I got into it. Unfortunately for me, I never saw it in order. So I would see random episodes. And then when it got to FXX, they would just do replays. So I would just catch replays. And then Hulu came along and I started to try to watch it in order. Unfortunately, I have a thing called a job, so it's kind of made it hard for me. But there are a few episodes that stand out to me, like the dentist system.
Oh, yes.
I think that's hilarious. The episode with Maureen, I want to say Ponderosa.
Yeah.
That's his name. I also love the wrestling episode with Roddy Piper. That's a great episode.
Was that when they were the birds of
Yeah.
of war or something?
The Birds of War, yep. And Danny and Frank was the trash man. And just the scene at the end where he hits him with a trash can, just raises his arms, and the crowd goes nuts, is just absolutely hilarious to me. Trying to think of some other episodes that I've seen. The Nightman cometh, like that's just absolutely hilarious.
Musical.
Yeah. I remember more like it's a weird thing for me, like for shows, I remember more moments from the shows than I do actual
I
the
agree.
actual episodes. Like Fat Mac sticks out to me.
Fat Mac.
Like, but it's a bit through like multiple episodes, obviously, but like Fat Mac is great. Like,
Yeah, so the backstory there is Rob, the actor, put on a ton of weight in between seasons, so he could purposely play a much fatter version of himself.
Mhm.
Crazy.
And then the whole season, yeah. Yeah, it's a show of moments. I mean, there are running storylines, but you can watch individual episodes and they all have their own story with
right. And I think that's what makes this show unique is like there's running stories, but then like The Waitress, for example, she's in every episode, in a lot of episodes, but she doesn't have like specific episodes, but she's just a part of it. Same with The Lawyer. I cannot remember the lawyer's name.
Yeah.
But he's just another recurring thing.
Recurring characters for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, and I love the scenes when like you'll just be inserted into a major argument of theirs and you're like what is going on here? And then like the camera backs out and they're like in some important person's office and they're just arguing in front of them this whole time. There's a lot of good ones like that. All right, so I wanted to try to figure out something to really talk about this show. And I discovered something. It's not brand new or anything, and maybe there's fans out there who have heard of this before, but I didn't know. So the following comes from former actress Jordan Reed, ex-girlfriend of Rob McElhenney. Presently, she's a blogger and a published author. She wrote an article on her website, which is called Ramshackle Glam, in 2016, so that's almost 10 years ago now. She detailed her experience working on the show in its early days, which at the time was called It's Always Sunny on TV. Now, I'm going to paraphrase from her article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It is available to read online. So, in the early days, Jordan was Rob's real life girlfriend. Before Jordan, Rob, Charlie, and Glenn were anything in Hollywood, because they were nothing. This is a true rags to riches. They spent more than a year creating and developing the original concept for the show, and they shot 2 pilots, which of course never aired. There was no crew or anything. It was just the 4 of them, maybe some friends who later appeared on the show as some of these characters we were just talking about. And Jordan played the role of Sweet D. And originally that character was supposed to be the sensible human amongst the in stark contrast to the shitty people that everybody else on the show is. Didn't turn out that way for the Sweet Tea character. She's a shitty person just like the rest of them. But that was the original concept. Based on the material they shot for these pilots, FX offered for them to shoot a real pilot with real money. But before that happened, Jordan broke up with Rob in real life. And it quickly became clear to Jordan that ending the relationship also cost her her job on the show. She was only 23 at the time. Right now, it's 20 years later, and the show is still on the air, and the cast members have all enjoyed a great deal of success in the entertainment industry. So it is a bit of a touchy subject and a controversial situation, or at least it was at the time. Her article, which I would recommend everybody, if you're interested, go read the full thing in her own words. It addresses her feelings at the time, how they've evolved over the years. Basically, in short, how she may have gotten really screwed over in what became a true path to some major success in Hollywood for the wrong reasons. And I found that to be very, very interesting. And I want to say a couple more things. Um, so here's some of the things that the other cast members have gone on to do. Now, they're not A-list mega stars or anything, but they're out there and they can kind of do whatever they want. I think it goes without saying Danny DeVito was an established star before he ever appeared on the show. But Rob has co-created a show. Rob and Charlie have co-created a Apple TV Plus series called Mythic Quest, which I actually think is great. And you may know Rob co-owns a Welsh soccer team with film star Ryan Reynolds, and they have a TV show that documents that, which I've never seen. And he was on 2 episodes of Lost, so I'm a fan of that. Charlie has starred in big Hollywood movies, Hollywood Bosses or Horrible Bosses movies, Lego movies. He was the voice of Luigi in the recent Super Mario Brothers movie. That's a big deal. Glenn Howerton was the lead in the NBC sitcom AP Bio. Caitlin Olsen, she starred in a show on Fox that I loved called The Mick, which I thought was hysterical. It only lasted 2 seasons. And now she's on a show on ABC called High Potential, which I think is actually really good. It is a procedural cop drama, so it's maybe not that original, but it is a very good show. She's very talented. She did eat directly out of a Chinese food carton on the show, which I enjoyed. And the last thing I want to say is you can actually look for clips of the original unaired pilot on YouTube. There are some, and you can see Jordan Reed playing the role of Sweet D before Caitlin Olsen got involved and became Rob's real life girlfriend, and of course now wife and mother of his children. So, did you guys have any idea that there was originally another Sweet D?
I did not.
No.
I was very fascinated by that. It's a little heartbreaking almost because it's just how many stories are there in real life where some, young, pretty, aspiring Hollywood actress thought she, was gonna make it moved to Hollywood to make it, and the rug got pulled out from under her, you know? Interesting stuff, I think.
You know what's funny is that the idiot that made this outline should have really thought this through, because the next segment is what are we watching, which is absolutely ridiculous right now because we just talked about stuff that we watch. And what's really funny is I didn't put this on the list today, but I do watch that High Potential with and I think it's hilarious.
Pretty good.
I think it's really, really good.
Pretty good.
And it wasn't the show I was going to talk about today, but I think it's really good, and I think she's a good actress. Anyway,
She's a
but
good
Matt, that
actress. She
was
can
really
do,
good.
I think she can do comedy, obviously, and also be serious, and that's what her role in High Potential calls for. She's
But
actually my
she's
favorite
funny in that too.
character on Sunny. This, you know what I love about Sunny? You ask 10 different people who their favorite character is on the show, and they'll give you 10 different answers.
Yeah, sure.
I think Sweet D was my favorite character because I don't mean this. I mean, I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way. I believe it's more difficult for women to be thought of as funny on TV and stuff. Not because they aren't, but because their opportunity just isn't there the same way. Look at the cast. There's three men and one woman. Um, you just don't see, you just don't see that. So I think she's hilarious. I think that she's got a ton of bits and stuff that she's done that I think are hysterical. She does something on Always Sunny where like if she's grossed out by something, she like pretends to gag, and I think it's hysterical, and I use that as like a gif all the time when I'm texting and stuff. Um, but anyways, yeah. Brian, what do you got to say about this before we move on to we should call the outline scrambled eggs because Brad's been all over the place,
Yeah.
up and down. Things are out of order, doesn't know what egg segment it is.
All right, I got one word for you: Cadillac.
Tough one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna say AP Bio, very underrated show. Love that. Thought it was a great
Patton
show.
Oswalt was on that too,
He
right?
was. He was the principal, yes.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna give a hot take right here. My favorite Danny DeVito movie, Junior.
Never saw it.
I like
What?
Junior. That's not my favorite, but I like it.
I for some reason that movie always sticks. When I think of Danny DeVito, I think of that movie. I don't know why.
Not even sure I know what it is.
It's
Uh,
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito. Arnold Schwarzenegger is having a baby.
yeah, he has a baby.
Oh boy.
They did this off the success of Twins.
Yeah, they wanted to try to recreate the magic of twins.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, but like Arnold Schwarzenegger has a baby, and Danny DeVito is just hilarious. I think he's hilarious.
Yeah, Danny DeVito was funny.
He's great in the movie. Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Always Sunny, its 17th season is still coming at you. They're still doing it. It seems like the type of show where it's only going to end when they want it to end. It's
Absolutely.
probably not a very expensive show to produce. Most of the scenes are, at least they used to be, most of the scenes are just in the bar. They don't have a lot of sets and stuff. And that's just them talking.
Awesome,
Like
Matt.
us. It's just us talking.
Just talking.
That's true. Just chatting.
So why not talk about more TV with
More
Hatching?
TV. What an outline.
What are we watching this week, Bryant?
Well, I am watching. Well, I'm not watching it anymore. I just did a I'm not calling it a rewatch, but I did a binge watch of Winning Time, the story of the LA Lakers and the Boston Celtics rival. Well, it's kind of the Boston rivalry, but it's about the Lakers, the rise of their dynasty in the 1980s. Very interesting show. John C. Riley plays Dr. Jerry Buss. Sally Field is in this first season as his mother. Did not see that coming. Obviously it's over drama. It's a dramatization a little bit. They play it up, but kind of learning a little bit of the story and then learning how some of the real people got offended with how they were portrayed in the show kind of made me laugh. Jerry West, for example, was not too fond of how he was portrayed in the series, but it was an interesting show. Adrian Brody's in it, which him as Pat Riley kind of still makes me chuckle a little bit, but and then just seeing like how they play the dynamic of Magic versus Bird, kind of something you saw play out on TV, but kind of having that behind the scenes a little bit was also something that was really fun to learn. And only 2 seasons, so quick watch. HBO on the Max app. Still want to call it HBO Max, but it's on Max, and some don't recommend it for children. I will say that. So it is a very adult show. So But yeah, that's what I'm watching. Brad?
I love the show, and I was very disappointed that it only went 2 seasons because I don't think that was the original plan. I thought it was
No.
rushed. They rushed to the ending. I'm not sure why. I don't know what happened.
Viewership. They didn't
Yeah,
have the viewer. They said the
how is that
viewers declined
possible?
too much. Yeah.
How is a show about the LA
I
Lakers?
didn't watch it.
You
You don't
also
like
like the
sports
cherries.
though. So
You
I
can't
don't
have
like.
whipped cream is gross. By the way, it is not a sundae if it doesn't have whipped cream and a cherry on it. It's not a sundae. It's called ice cream.
I didn't order a Sunday. That was the hypothetical.
No, you said if it's a sundae and it's got whipped cream on it, I'm out. White liquid is
Boiled.
disgusting or something. I don't
Hard
know.
boiled.
Anyway, I love the show. I thought it was really good. I love the Larry Bird character. I thought
he's
that
so good.
because
Yeah.
I never thought of him that way, I always thought of him as just a really nice person. And I
Hmm.
don't know why, but that's how he came off. But he wasn't on that show. He was a
No.
cocky hick,
Yep.
like the chewing tobacco, everything like that. He was kind of a prick. But I like that. And Bus was awesome.
Yeah.
And Genie Bus, all of it. I thought it was all very good. And I know you didn't see it, Matt M. Very disappointing.
Yeah, okay, hang on. I need to defend myself because Bryant said I don't like sports, which is preposterous. I love
I'm sorry. You like football and nothing
yeah.
else. I
He
apologize.
likes baseball. He
I
likes
love
Yeah.
baseball.
I love football and baseball. I've got some familiarity with hockey. So far, every time we've done these memorabilia things, it's been sports stuff.
Yes,
Come
that's
on.
true. I'll give you
Come
that.
on. I just didn't watch it. I mean, I'm not gonna go out of my way to watch a show about a sport that I don't follow or a team that I don't follow. I love football. I've never seen an episode of Hard Knocks. Like, I don't know if I want to see that. I just want to watch the games.
True.
All right, Brad, what about you? What are you watching? Did you go already?
No, I did not go. All right, so I have
Should
two,
I
but
tell you?
I'm going to talk about one.
Yeah, okay.
There's a new show on Max. It's called The Pit. It's an American medical drama television series that it covers 1 hour or one single 15-hour shift in the emergency room, and it stars Noah Wiley, which is perfect because we always think of Noah Wiley as the young guy on ER, the young doctor on ER. So it's the emergency room. It's a hospital that doesn't have a lot of resources. They are stuck in the. What's wrong, Matt?
You'll know when it's my turn.
So it's gritty. It's so when I think of hospital series, to me, I mean, I'm sure I'm wrong about this, but the most of the ones at least I've seen are on network TV, like ER, The Good Doctor, so even though there's some cringy moments in these shows, it it's a little cleaner than this. This is a little, like I said, gritty, and like you got to have a more of a thicker skin and not a weak stomach sometimes. So it takes place in Pittsburgh, which is why we started watching it because now Lotus is going to University of Pittsburgh. She's going to be a nurse, so it's kind of neat that they have like this ER in Pitt, and it's called the Pit, like as in you're waiting in the pit. So I'm enjoying it. I've only watched 2 episodes, but so far so good.
Yeah, I mean it's
I do.
brand new, right?
Brand new.
Yeah.
I do want to say to jump on that for a moment. That scene, Valentine's Day. See, I could tell you the season 5, ER, when Carter is stabbed. That episode haunted me as a child. That character who played the guy that stabbed him scared me for how good he was. That good in the role. But I still can remember that episode of ER when they find Carter after he'd been stabbed. Noah Wiley's character. Still can remember it to this day.
Yeah. I remember watching ER when I was
It's
younger.
good.
My parents watched some pretty good TV. My parents were they were the hipsters of watching Seinfeld because they watched Seinfeld like before it was a big deal because it was on the air for several years before it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And they watched Law and Order, so I watched that when I was a kid, and they watched the hospital shows. I remember ER. I remember the George Clooney episode where he saved somebody in the river or something. That was a big deal at the time. Um, but the reason why I'm laughing is because I promise you this episode of Three Eggs is not brought to you by Max, but the show I wanted to talk about is also on Max, just like you guys. Now,
Wow.
stress that the category is called Hatching. What are we watching? It doesn't necessarily mean I'm here to tell you that it's amazing or that I'm recommending it, but it is something that I'm watching. I've been a little short on time and short on sleep lately. I haven't really watched too much. But there is a show on Max that debuted a few years ago, and the third season is airing now. It's called The Head. And it's probably not that well known of a show. It is an international series, so I think the countries of origin are Spain and Japan. Now, I don't really understand what that means. Most of the characters are speaking English. It's not subtitled or dubbed or anything, unless somebody happens to say something in another language. But you can tell there's a lot of characters that or actors that English is not their first language. A lot of internet. There's like a group of scientists, so there's people from all over the world. It's a global situation. So the first season of this show I would recommend. It's six or seven episodes, and it's kind of psychological thriller, murder mystery sort of thing, where the end of every episode kind of grabs you and makes you think you know something about the next episode, and there's a lot of twists and turns. And you'll always hear me say that I like a good case, and I really think it was a really, really good case the first season. So I would recommend that. Now they've extended the story two more times, and probably not as good, but I'm still watching it because there's still that mystery feel, that suspense feel where you don't really know what's going to happen. You want it, you want the answers, you want to get to the bottom of it, and that is on Max as well. And I want to say one more thing. After this, I'm going to go watch the season two premiere of Severance on Apple TV Plus. I don't know. I think we maybe talked about that show once already. The first season was 3 years ago, and it did not make a ton of waves when it was first on, but I think there is a lot of heavy promotion in the second season coming around. In fact, in New York City this week at Grand Central, which, if you don't know, is a very large transit hub for trains in New York City and subways. Um, they had a glass cubicle of the office workers from the show, including some of the real actors. And it was just kind of a visual spectacle pop-up thing where people could come and watch. The show is about sort of sci-fi-ish. There are people who can work for this company called Lumen, and you can basically sign half of your life away, and for half of the day you disappear and you go work from them, but your brain doesn't know that you're there, and then when you're not there, your brain doesn't know that you were there. It stars Adam Scott and John Turturro. Not John, is it John Turturro? The better Turturro. Christopher Walken was in the first season, and it's a really, really, really good show. Ben Stiller is one of the creators and directors. So I don't know, Ben Stiller. People might think of him as like, the villain in these comedic movies, but behind the camera, he's actually done a lot of really good stuff. Did you guys see Escape from Dannemora, I think it's called? It was a dramatization of something that really happened when those prisoners escaped from the prison in New York State a few years ago. Like one of them had been hooking up with one of the female prison workers and let him out. Like that was the real story. And there was a manhunt, and the series was just fantastic to watch. It surprised me. All right, I'm going on and on here, but that's what I'm watching. I'm gonna watch Severance. Everybody should watch Severance. Great show.
Sounds good. Which brings it to my part two here of poached jumbo eggs. Okay. So you suck. You suck. You suck. All right. So, Brian, if you could please put up the second picture I gave you. This is me and Kurt Angle. This was maybe the same day or the day before. I can't really remember. Kurt Angle, if you don't know, if you've been living under a rock your entire life, he won the Olympic gold medal for wrestling with a broken freaking neck, right? Also multiple time WWE champion, WWE Hall of Famer, TNA champion, TNA Hall of Famer. From Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, went to Clarion University, which is about 40 minutes from where I grew up. Big fan of his. It was an honor to get to meet him at Top Guy Weekend. But that's not where it ended. So you can go ahead and take that down, Bryant. So I got to meet him, and that was a great honor. And shortly after that, I was you would have an opportunity as a member of Ad Free Shows to put in questions for his podcast, which I did. And I said something to the effect of, Paulie Bromwell was the host, and I asked, was it really difficult keeping up with Chris Benoit in the ring? Or did you have trouble keeping up with him in the ring? Because Chris Benoit was a tremendous athlete at the time. And then he goes, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't know if you know this, Brad. I'm an Olympic gold medalist. I'm a champion. And then Paul Bromwell says, now this is a podcast on air that lots of people listen to. Well, he goes, Kurt, I do know Brad Stanton, and I could set this whole thing up where we put him in, you could put him in an ankle lock. And then he says, yeah, well, I think I'm going to punch him in the face. I'm like, whoa, wow. I just got called out here. So then it was set up that I was able to talk to Kurt on the phone, and it was fun. And we talked for about 10 minutes. Now, of course, I'm part of ad-free shows. It's Super Patreon. I pay into this thing. But I asked him a question like, what made you go to Clarion University? Because, I mean, he's an Olympic gold champion, and there's nothing wrong with Clarion University. But when you think of an Olympic gold medalist, you think that maybe he went to Ohio State, Penn State, University of Nebraska, something like that. But he went to Clarion. And he just answered and said that his grades weren't that great at the time, and that he didn't know what he was going to do, and he overachieved in college basically as a wrestler. And I said, oh, okay. And then he goes, and then it changed. The whole conversation changed. Like he wasn't. It wasn't like he felt like he had to be on the phone anymore. He was just talking to me. He goes, you know what? Let me add something. He goes, I don't mean to beat a dead horse about this, but let me tell you something else. And it was just a really nice conversation. He's had some ups and downs in his life, but he is a great. He has overcome a lot, and he's come a long way. And I think he is someone that people should truly look up to. This is someone that, I mean, gosh, like, talk about being able to go from one thing to another. Here you are in college, you're an Olympic gold medal, but what do you do with that? So then he goes to the WWE, and he's going to be what's called the wrestling machine kind of thing. But he finds a way to be hilarious as well. So real honor to meet him. And just funny that I had that kind of interaction with him as well.
Very good. I think any wrestling fan's a huge Kurt Angle fan. Good in the ring, good on the mic, funny, serious, great wrestler, good intensity, integrity, and intelligence.
The three eyes.
I would have never heard of Clarion if it wasn't for him. It's not like
Yeah.
it's a well-known college.
No, I know it just because it was close to me. That's it. So that's it. So, Matt,
We here at the end. All right, let's cap off what was probably our nerdiest episode to date. And we are Three Eggs Are Better Than One, and we're cooking up every Monday morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Find us on YouTube at Three Eggs Are Better Than One, the number 3, the letter R, the number 1. Follow us on X, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok at Three Eggs Are Better, the number 3, the letter R. Our individual accounts at YesManBrad, at BHaremza, and I am at Purple Shirt Guy without the I. And next week we got Brad leading the way. What do you got for us?
So I put a lot of thought into this. This may be a multi-parter, maybe not. We're going to see. But I am going to go into the spinoff. So what is a spinoff? A spinoff is a show that came from another show. We're going to talk about the best spinoffs. We're going to talk about the worst spinoffs. We're going to talk about the shows that had the most spinoffs. We're going to dive deep into that. So that's what's next week. So Bryant, as always, I labeled conclusion Brad, but I meant Bryant. So Bryant, take us home.
Here, I thought this week Brad wanted to end the show, but I guess with all the confusion of mixing up topics, Brad wants to take a moment off here. So we want to thank you guys for joining us this week. As Matt said, watching us nerd out a little bit, showing our favorite memorabilia, talking about It's Always Sunny, and hopefully I entertained you with a football game. We love doing this. Please join us, like we said, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. We're always here cooking up whatever we can. The egg timer's been set. We'll see you guys next week.